Kashmir, a green valley in the lap of Himalayas, is well known for its natural beauty. For many, Kashmir is a paradise on earth. The history of Kashmir is many centuries old. In different eras, it was ruled by the Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, and the Muslims. The Sikh rule came to an end after the arrival of the British, who, after the Anglo-Sikh War, annexed Kashmir with the territory of their rule. Talking about the Kashmiri religious architecture, there are a number of holy sites in Kashmir belong to Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. Today, there are Muslims who are living in majority both in the Indian occupied and the liberated part of the Kashmir. During the Hindu period, Kashmir was owned by the goddess Sharada. It's the time when her worship was at the peak in the entire Kashmir and also in the entire Indian subcontinent. In Hinduism, Sharada is a spiritual form of the Saraswati, who is a goddess of learning and wisdom, music and aesthetic. A swan or a peacock is her vehicle. She is often depicted as a woman in pure white, seated on lotus. Sharada script, which is a developed form of Brahmi script, named after Sharada by the local Hindu community. It's her love which ultimately compelled the worshippers to raise a temple for their beloved goddess. Sharada temple is situated in a small village named after her as Sharada or Sharadi, situated in the Neelam Valley in Azad Kashmir, Pakistan. The valley of the Mount Harmukh, which is believed by the Hindus, is the abode of the god Shiva. The Hindu mythology says that Sharada temple is located at the place where the right arm of the Shiva's beloved wife Sati was felled. This seems obvious that why the Hindus have a great affiliation and reverence for this place. Sharada temple is positioned at the confluence of the three water streams, the river Neelam, Saraswati and Madhumati, at an altitude of 1981 meters, some 150 kilometers northwest of the Muzaffarabad, the capital of the Azad Kashmir, Pakistan. There are many interesting stories associated with the Sharada temple. Followers firmly believe that this temple was a complex comprised of a university with a library in it. In their belief, as Sharada is a goddess of learning and wisdom, so this attribute provoked the idea of the development of an education center in this region, which got fame as Sharada Peeth or a seat of Sharada. Some ancient manuscripts from the Hinduism contain information about Sharada Peeth. It is said that during the Republican and the medieval era of the Kashmir, Sharada University was on its climax. In this reference, there are names of some noted Hindu philosophers and devotees of their time, like Kalhana and Adi Shankara, who are the beneficiaries from the Sharada Peeth, and that they, during their stay in the university, learned from the archives of the library that housed some immensely important books on Hinduism. The Chinese pilgrim He Huanzhang, who came to Kashmir in 632 BC, stayed in Sharada for about 2 years. He praised the Hindu devotees for their vast knowledge and wisdom. Al-Biruni, who visited India in 1036 AD, also wrote in Kitab al-Hind that Sharada was a place of high value among the Hindus of the subcontinent. Kalhan was the son of a Kashmiri noble. He is famous for his philosophical work Raj Tarangni, which was written during the siege of Shirhasila Castle, took place in 12th century in Kashmir. While describing this eyewitnessed event, he says, where the huge temple complex came up. And this huge temple complex, most probably, is the Sharada temple because the ruins of the castle with the name Shirhasila is located to the west of the Sharada temple. There is another school of thought regarding Sharada Peeth's religious identity. It says Sharada was actually a place of mysticism having links with the Buddhism, which was established during the reign of King Ashoka in 3rd century BC. The aim of establishing a university here was to promote Buddhism in Kashmir and in further north. In this reference, it was further added that the development of Sharada script in Kashmir also is an effort of the Buddhist monks. The geographic location of Sharada temple is also a matter of great debate. Kashmir is a place of harsh climate that remains under snow for almost 6 months of a year. Experts say that Aryans seem more eligible authors who could be responsible for the temple's construction. This opinion is based on the theory that says, while crossing passes from the north, one of the offshoots of the Aryans lost its way to India. While roving, they came to this valley and found it suitable to be settled in around 3000 BC. The Aryans wanted to keep their superiority in this region, for which they had to develop their own creed. As they considered themselves superior than the locals, therefore, they laid foundation of a new spiritual form of Saraswati, which is known as Sharada Devi. With the passage of time, a cultural tolerance developed in ancient Kashmir, especially after the arrival of Buddhism. To reach Sharada temple, first you need to pass through a bridge located on the Neelam River. After crossing the bridge, one enters in the main bazaar of the Sharada village. From here, after a consistent ascending walk of nearly 15 minutes alongside a water channel, you will find yourself standing in front of a staircase, provide access to the temple. The stairs are 63 in number and are some 9 or 10 feet wide. It was provided with 2 side walls, which once had a parapet with a coping. There is a massive podium jutting out of the foundations of the complex. These stairs adjoining this massive podium from its southwestern corner. The main portal once was provided with a wooden gate, the square hook of which can still be seen in the stone pilasters. The southern part of the portal is totally demolished, while the northern side is luckily preserved for the conjectural reconstruction. Next to the main gate is a porch, at the end of which is a couple of one square and one circular pilaster. Each one is composed of a pedestal, a shaft, and a capital. On the top of the circular pilaster, the remains of the arch can be seen, which was once supporting a superstructure above the porch, which would definitely be a pedimental kind of a roof. On the square pilaster and the space between these two pilasters, we can find decorative panels that show a pyramidal design on the top. Remains of the stucco and a pinkish color pigments are seen on them. From the west, stairs provide access to a rectangular court with a cella which is slightly off the center. All the 4 sides of the quadrangle have 2.6 meter high stone walls. In the western wall near the portal's joint, a niche of about 1.3-meter depth is available, facing to the main entrance of the cellar. At its top, a stone slab is placed, forming a false pyramid-like geometrical motif. Another niche is also available in the center of the northern wall, which is facing the cellar. Scholars believe that the northern niche was once containing two small lingams, and that the dimension of the niche suggests that it was built for receiving such cult. This niche also had a pyramidal motif on its top, which is not visible now. At the meeting point of the northern and the western wall, there is a small picket which is an addition of the later era. The eastern wall of the quadrangle contains a back door or an exit. To its right is a niche similarly like the previous ones. The original southern wall of the quadrangle is missing with some original remains of its eastern part. A new strong wall is reconstructed by the Pakistan Army, and it can be said that the original wall would also be having the same niche in its center. In the debris of the southern wall, some remains of the conjure stone are found. That is the obvious indication of the presence of a niche in its center. In the center of the quadrangle is a 22 feet square cella, the house of the Sharada deity. It rises above a strong podium of basalt stone and is about 1 meter in height. Next, on the top of the podium, is a square chamber. A small staircase of 5 steps is available for access within the cella. The stairs are covered with a vaulted roof in the past. The main opening has a trefoil arch and is facing west. This watercolor gives us a glance at how the trefoil arch would have looked like. All the 3 exterior sides of the cella are decorated with a identical relief work, showing arch motif contains pedimental design on the top. The cellar was once covered with a beautiful roof which has now fallen. Internally, it is some 12 feet by 3 inches square. There is no decoration to be seen in interior, just few remains of stucco pilaster are visible. Just a hole in the southern wall can be seen, which was probably used to install a lantern or some stone idol. Different historians and travelers in their books have mentioned about a certain stone slab that was seen inside the cellar. This slab of stone was covering to a spring that was probably within the prayer chamber. Many myths are associated in Hindu mythology about this stone slab, like the magical appearance from the spring of the goddess Sharada to the sage Chandaliya. Sir Oriel Stein, a British archaeologist who also visited this temple, has reported a stone slab within the cellar. Professor Ayaz Rasulnaski, the regional director at Indian Council for Cultural Relations, came to Sharada temple in 2007. He reported that the interior of the prayer chamber had got filled up with the soil and also the spring. There are some details of the Sharada temple in the Gazetteer of Kashmir, written in 1873 by an Indian-British military official, Mr. Bates. Writing the details of the prayer chamber, he says, "There was a huge rough stone slab in it. Whatever is the reality, but the spring is of a great reverence and was worshipped by the devotees." The Textile Institute of Asian Civilization carried out excavation in the temple complex to find out the cultural material. They laid a trial trench in the complex. From the layers of the trench, ash along with the potsherds was found. There were few stone idols in the Sharada temple, which in 1947 were taken to Tikar, Kupwara. In 1320, after the advent of Islam, Sharada temple lost its royal patronage. It was the 15th and the 16th century when Sharada was a hub of Hindu pilgrimage. Despite of a detailed research and having authentic references, archaeologists are unable to figure out any particular structure to which they can identify as a university of Sharada Peeth. The attitude of religious harmony and tolerance played a key role to maintain a favorable and peaceful environment for the minorities in this region. That's why, even today, Hindus from around the world come to perform religious practices to the Neelam Valley in Azad Kashmir, where they bathe in the Madhumati and Neelam River to get cleansed of all the sins. Each day a Kashmiri Hindu begins his day by uttering these phrases. Salutation to you, O Sharada, O goddess, O one who resides in Kashmir. I pray to you daily. Please give me the charity of knowledge.